This is Shadi. Today we're going to be discussing a video that a lot of you have been sending to me or sharing on your social media, and it needs to be discussed. The HanpanTV that made this, I have been watching for years, and they are judokas, so this is a conversation that we can actually have courteously, of course. This isn't armchair violence, who is not a judoka and made a satirical video. People asked me to respond to it. I couldn't get past 2 minutes of it. It wasn't funny and it was tasteless. That's like trying to explain architecture to a 6-year-old. It's just not gonna happen. But HanpanTV, I can actually talk to them about it. We can have courteous discussions, but of course, before we do that, don't forget to check out my book, The Origins and History of Judo, a translation of a manuscript from 1903, available in French, English, with modern Japanese. So, first, before I start with the video, I have an issue with the title. It says The Lies Behind Judo Basics. Lying means someone knows the truth and intentionally hid it from you and gave you false information. I don't see that to be the case at all. It is talking about Uchikomi, and they are impractical, and that's not how we do it in Randori, so why are we doing it? This is very similar to learning your scales and arpeggios and then going off to shredding and doing guitar solos. You can't just immediately jump to pieces. So they're talking about Harasawa's post and how he says, look, it's a big opening and it's going up and big, but in Randori we snap the sleeve down, and also the same with the lapel. Instead of punching up, we rotate and then the elbow is flared upwards. So this is impractical and that's not how we do it. So why do we train it? It's questioning the status quo almost. We need to understand the concept of framework. Framework is for you to capture everything, and then from there you go and then apply your own expression, how it suits you and your body and your technique, etc. And then here they say, look, they're showing off these big movements, and then for example, this is Fluid Judo Japan with his basic Uchimata video. But then when he goes off in another video where he is discussing right versus left and right versus right, he explains that in Randori, we don't apply this principle the same way as if you're warming up and doing countless repetitions. Because here in Randori, the guy's hand is firm. So how do you open them up? You actually rotate your waist and your torso. Then you manage to open them up, but you're still pulling that sleeve big. It doesn't look too big because also they're holding the lapel. However, the same principle is being applied, and I'll get to why you need to do that. Same with the lapel hand. You punch up, that's the goal, or you punch the chin with the lapel. Normally the guy is going to be pulling down on the sleeve, so this type of movement is actually not doable when you are sparring. Please go subscribe to this channel, Fluid Judo Japan. So instead, what you do is same. As you're rotating to open up the sleeve, you punch the lapel, and you're gonna have the same effect, just at a much shorter range. And this is key, and I'll tell you why. So this is what you can get at a much shorter range. And then they address hip techniques, saying that look at the range with the hikite and the tsurite. He's going around the back, and therefore you don't need these big openings in order to unbalance someone. And then shows mifune here. Look at the elbow flared up, and he's just jumping into it. This is again the same form that you do when you're sparring. However, they're omitting a lot of that footage, and one of them being the Kuzushi part, where he shows big opening and creating distance in order to explain to you the 8 ways or 8 directions of unbalancing someone. It's not just those. In Judo, this is very important. I always say this, especially when I'm talking about kata. You need to train them because they teach you the various range of attacking. When you attack, it's not just one or how it looks in sparring and you only drill it, because that's first of all insufficient, and also you're missing the forest for the trees, as they say. So let's take a look at here the same kata from the 1880s, big opening with the sleeve in order to do the kata guruma. You have big openings where there's a lot of distance. You also have very close range where you're just touching, and then you have mid-range where you're just snapping, and all of them are present in the nage no kata. Here you can see the sleeve is opened up big, and then where you can go down, enter, and then pick up your opponent and throw them. This is a range that's also been seen in sparring. It's not just the Uchimata example to say that, oh, all Uchikomi is useless. Look at this big down. Another range is the very close range where you go deep. Yes, the hip toss. So you can't talk about Uchimata and then say, look at the Kuzushi in hip techniques. That's false equivalency, as they say. Here, you get in, you get close, around the back, and then you could throw. You want to throw Uchimata with the hand around the back, you can do that, but you have multiple ranges of attacking. Here, for example, look at the the sleeve hand and how it snaps down immediately. So you can open big, you can go around the waist and bring the sleeve hand towards you, and here you can open it up very shortly and snap it down quickly. So you have to train all your ranges. Now, why do you do these big openings? Like, for example, here Uchimata, again in nage no kata, big opening and lifting up the sleeve and punching up the lapel and flaring the elbow, same thing. You need to do all of your ranges, and training big ranges will make your short ranges much faster. And let me show you. So here they say even Inoue Kose, when he's teaching seminar, he's doing these big pulls. However, it's a much shorter Kuzushi. Why he's doing that? Basically, they're questioning, even though he's the best, why is he doing that? In seminars, you can only teach the basics. You're going around, you're traveling, you don't know these people. You can only teach them the fundamentals, and you need to do the big ranges. Why? Because look at this. You have two rods, same weight, given the same stimulus or same force. However, the shorter one is spinning much faster than the longer one, where it's covering a bigger distance because the rotational inertia is much bigger. Therefore, it's going to be slower. So train the big one, so when you do the shorter snap, it's going to be way quicker. Look at Maruyama here. He's doing these Uchikomis, big openings, repetition after repetition, and he's opening up the lapel really big in order to get in and getting really quick at this motion. So when he's sparring, when he does the little snap opening with his same weight and same force applied, it's going to be much quicker. These are called exaggerated movements. Same with Uchimata, and you train it as Hanegoshi, because when you try to insert the hips deep enough and you aim for the far leg in Randori, you're most likely going to end up somewhere in the middle. So if you want to aim for the moon, you try to aim for the sun. And here you can see the bent leg for Hanegoshi. However, it ended up somewhere in the middle. So these exaggerated movements are needed. Look at the Kuzushi here. There is a small one that he did, but it was at a much smaller distance. So I understand that you don't do it exactly the same in Randori, but the fact that you question them or say it's useless, it needs to be taught and understood, because big movements, first of all, you have muscle memory, and those big movements, when you do them in Randori at a much shorter distance, they're going to be much more explosive and much faster. Therefore, your judo is going to be more efficient. This is like the guy who wants to skip arpeggios and scales and wants to shred guitar like Ingui almost immediately, because I'm only gonna play the pieces later. Why would I need my scales and arpeggios? And then you waste years, and then you come back to them, and then you figure out why you need them. This is why these are important. Yes, I understand they're not the same in Randori, but it doesn't mean that you don't do them. The reason why the Japanese are so quick and explosive, because they've been doing it since childhood, and also they've been doing these big movements. And then when they come to Randori, just like Maruyama, that twist, that opening of the lapel was so short yet so quick. And look at that ippon that he created. You only need to throw once to win. But training those big movements are needed. I think the problem is lack of communication. People are not explaining exactly why you need to open up this big, and then you get these questions. So it's very important to have these conversations courteously, of course. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you have anything to add, let me know. Check out the book below. This was Shadi. Thank you for listening.